I like to think that getting older means becoming wiser. Not just older in years, but sharper, more aware, and more capable of understanding the world around you. But sometimes reality arrives in a way that no amount of wisdom can prepare you for. On November 30th, 2013, Paul Walker stepped into a red Porsche Carrera GT. He told a friend he would be back in 5 minutes. It was a simple, casual moment, one that didn't feel important at the time, but it became the last thing he ever said before getting into that car. For years, the public was given a straightforward explanation: speed, loss of control, a tragic accident. But when you begin to look deeper, the story becomes far more complex and far more unsettling, because people who were there that day remember details that never fully made it into the final report. A car that didn't seem stable, tires that were far older than they should have been, and a haunting detail from the autopsy that suggested Paul Walker may have still been alive after the crash. That day didn't begin with tragedy, it began with purpose. At Always Evolving Performance Motors in Valencia, California, near Santa Clarita, Paul Walker and his close friend Rodas were hosting a charity event. It wasn't about attention or fame, it was about helping people. The event supported Reach Out Worldwide, the disaster relief organization founded by Paul Walker, raising money and collecting toys for victims of Typhoon Haiyan, which had devastated the Philippines and claimed thousands of lives. The atmosphere was full of energy, cars lined up under the sun, people talking, laughing, contributing. It was one of those rare moments where excitement and purpose came together. No one there could have imagined how quickly everything would change. As the event began to wind down, something small happened, the kind of moment that feels insignificant at the time. Rodas had recently acquired a red Porsche Carrera GT and had it on display. Witnesses later recalled that the car seemed to stall while he was trying to maneuver it. It wasn't behaving smoothly. Someone reportedly suggested taking it for a quick drive around the block. A simple idea, a quick test, 5 minutes. Paul Walker climbed into the passenger seat and told a friend he would be right back. It was a normal decision, made without hesitation, but it would change everything. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Rodas drove carefully out of the lot. There were still people around, and he wasn't showing off. The car moved steadily down Hercules Street, a wide road inside the industrial park. But further down, the road narrowed and curved. Somewhere along that stretch, the situation changed. The car accelerated. Investigators would later estimate speeds between 80 and 100 miles per hour, nearly double the posted limit. But speed alone doesn't explain everything. One witness described the car as jiggling in its lane, as if the driver was trying to correct it, as if the vehicle had already begun to lose control before the crash. Then, in a matter of seconds, everything fell apart. The car lost control and spun violently. The driver's side slammed into a tree and a light pole with devastating force. The vehicle rotated and struck another tree on the passenger side. Debris flew into a nearby building, shattering windows, and then came the smoke. At first, it was faint. Within moments, it turned into thick, dark clouds. Then, flames, a fireball. Back at the event, people heard the sound, a loud, unfamiliar bang. Confusion spread quickly, followed by panic. Friends, employees, and attendees rushed toward the scene. Some grabbed fire extinguishers, others jumped into cars and drove toward the smoke. They didn't know what they would find. But when they arrived, it was already too late. The car was completely engulfed in flames. Some tried to get close, desperate to help, but the heat was overwhelming. The fire was too intense. One witness described flames reaching as high as 20 feet. It was nothing they could do. Among those who ran to the wreckage was someone who tried to pull Paul Walker out with his bare hands, but the heat forced him back. It was impossible to get close enough. Then came one of the most heartbreaking moments of the day. Rodas's young son arrived at the scene before anyone could stop him. He didn't understand what had happened. He just saw the fire and moved toward it until he realized his father was inside. Firefighters had to pull him away. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but the situation was beyond saving. Both men were pronounced dead at the scene. Just minutes earlier, they had been surrounded by people, laughter, and purpose. Now, everything was silent. But the real questions began after the fire was extinguished, because the details of what happened didn't feel as simple as they first appeared. The autopsy results revealed something deeply unsettling. Paul Walker died from a combination of traumatic injuries and thermal burns, but there was soot found in his airway, which meant he was still breathing after the crash, even if only briefly. Some estimates suggest he may have survived for up to 80 seconds, trapped, unable to escape. That single detail raised a painful question that would echo for years. Could he have been saved? In contrast, Rodas died instantly from the impact. His injuries were catastrophic and immediately fatal. There was no suffering, no chance of survival. But for Paul Walker, there may have been time, and that difference changed everything. Attention soon turned to the car itself. The Porsche Carrera GT was not an ordinary vehicle. It was powerful, raw, and unforgiving. With over 600 horsepower and no electronic stability control, it required extreme precision to handle. Even experienced drivers respected it, and sometimes feared it. There was also another critical factor: the tires. Investigators discovered that the tires were nearly 9 years old, far beyond the recommended lifespan. Even if they appeared new, the rubber would have degraded over time, losing flexibility and grip. At high speeds, that loss of grip could be deadly. The official investigation concluded that the crash was caused by unsafe speed for the road conditions. There was no evidence of drugs or alcohol, no definitive mechanical failure. The case was closed as a tragic accident. But not everyone accepted that explanation. Meadow Walker, the daughter of Paul Walker, filed a lawsuit against Porsche. Her claim focused not just on the crash itself, but on what happened afterward. The argument was that her father survived the initial impact and was unable to escape due to flaws in the car's design. The lawsuit claimed missing safety features and a potentially defective seatbelt system may have trapped him inside. There were also claims regarding fuel systems contributing to the fire. Porsche denied all allegations. The company argued that the car had been misused and that the crash resulted from dangerous driving. During the legal process, internal documents surfaced that raised questions regarding prior concerns about the vehicle. But in the end, the case was settled confidentially. No admission of fault, no full public explanation. As with many high-profile tragedies, speculation followed. Conspiracy theories spread online, ranging from elaborate cover-ups to completely unfounded claims, but none of them held up against the available evidence. The reality pointed back to something much simpler and far more human: a powerful car, a moment of speed, a combination of small factors aligning at the worst possible time. But the story of Paul Walker didn't end there. When Furious 7 was released, it became more than just a film. It became a farewell. Production had been paused after his death, and there were serious discussions about whether to continue. In the end, the decision was made to finish it. His brothers stepped in to help complete his scenes, and advanced visual effects were used to recreate his presence on screen. The final result was deeply emotional. The closing scene of Furious 7 became one of the most powerful moments in modern film. Two friends driving side by side, a quiet understanding, then a split in the road. One goes left, the other goes right. It wasn't just a scene, it was a goodbye. Even years later, his co-stars continue to speak about him. Vin Diesel named his daughter after him. Tyrese Gibson shared his grief openly. Dwayne Johnson described him as one of the truly good people in the industry. Because beyond the fame and success, Paul Walker was known for something deeper: his kindness, humility, and genuine desire to help others. And maybe that's why this story still resonates. Because it isn't just about how he died, it's about who he was, and the reminder that life can change in an instant. 5 minutes. That's all it took. And perhaps the hardest truth to accept is this: sometimes there isn't a hidden explanation. Sometimes there's no grand conspiracy. Sometimes it's just a series of small decisions that lead to a moment you can never take back.